All right, guys, so in this video, I want to go over some stadiums that I think will age extremely poorly. Basically, the idea is you're kind of stuck with it, right? Like, these are stadiums after 20 years. The teams might want to leave, but if you spent $1 billion on the stadium, you really have no choice. You have to kind of tough it out and wait for the renovations. I believe no stadium on this list is built before 2000. That would kind of defeat the purpose. If you do have a stadium that was built before 2000, theoretically, you would have a window to at least think about getting renovations. If it's been 20 plus years, 2 decades, you could get kind of a bigger, remodel. And that's what we're already seeing with the Browns, Panthers, and also the Jaguars. So, guys, starting the number one on this list by far, it has to be MetLife Stadium, home of the Giants and the Jets, and this is the one true failed super stadium of the NFL, the Cardinal Sin, with the full wraparound upper deck, and there's not even an overhang to cover the fans from the elements. I don't understand this thing going up, being built in 2010. That's when it opened. It does have a nice little exterior. It almost looks kind of like an office, but I do think it's cool at night. But it's just, the interior, and this MetLife Stadium situation is really starting to bring up the idea that maybe the Jets think about leaving MetLife when the lease is up in 2025. They've already moved their training facility out into New Jersey, so we'll have to see what happens there. I could see the Jets, if it's not 2025, maybe in 2030 after the 5-year renewal, you could see the Jets building their own stadium because MetLife is going to age terribly. It is already a completely mid stadium, and that's with it only being 13 years old because, again, it opened in 2010 as this super stadium, which it's obviously not because it's not a retractable roof or a fixed roof. And again, there's not even an overhang. And to make matters worse, it's fully enclosed on the sides with the upper deck, and it has these weird camo seats, which actually might be the best feature of the entire facility because when the Jets and Giants were both bad, I mean, they were both terrible in like 2016, or I think like 2017, 2018. You could have the camo seats and you wouldn't tell how bad the attendance was, so I guess those did come in handy. But either way, MetLife Stadium, it's got to be number one on the list of stadiums that will age badly. They're stuck with it till at least, I mean, what do you think, 2030, 2045 or 2040 maybe? That's 30, 35 years right there. I would say the Giants are stuck with it. The Jets might have an out path if they want it in 2025 or 2030, but it's got to be number one on the list. Coming in, these are both NFL stadiums, but they're very similar. So it is State Farm Stadium. This was formerly University of Phoenix, Arizona Stadium. The issue with this, number one, let's be honest, the only reason it gets big events is because it's located in Arizona. I know it's had 2 Super Bowls in the past 9 years. That's because of its location. Number 2, they did that whole thing. Like, they make a huge deal out of the technology. Oh my God, we wheeled the field out and it gets natural sunlight. And in the 2023 Super Bowl, there were 50 players slipping and there were massive issues with the cleats. And they want to talk about, it gets natural sunlight. What do you, it was terrible. The footing was terrible. And on top of that, they completely sacrificed some of the seating because they wheeled it in and out. The seating on the one end zone, there can't be any seating there because that's where the field goes when it goes in and out of the stadium. So it has to be like removable seating, and it ends up with just like this big, ugly red zone sign. So I think State Farm Stadium, they really wanted to placate to like getting it natural light with the grass and stuff. And you would think there would be ways to do that without completely ruining one of your end zone seating. I don't know. It kind of has like a overhang with the, retractable roof. We know how that always is. I don't remember ever the retractable roof being open for a 1 o'clock Arizona game, which is basically a 4:25 game or 4:05 game for me. If you're on the East Coast, Arizona, 3 hours time difference. But the reason it's never open, I mean, I'm sure it's always beautiful and sunny, the humidity. If it has any type of bad humidity, it's not going to be open. It was open. I will give them credit. It was open for the Super Bowl because, it's taking place in February. You can kind of do that. But yeah, and then the overall seating design, I hate when it's got those weird stripes. To me, that's Little League. I don't like that, like of silver or whatever that is. And the upper decks there's nothing unique about the seating design, which is another issue for me. And I also think you can put NRG Stadium in the exact same category of stadiums that will age bad. It is a very similar looking model to what State Farm Stadium is. It has a retractable roof that's barely ever open because it's located in Texas. It gets big events because it's in Houston. And really, just the way it looks to me is extremely average. So NRG Stadium, let me actually give State Farm Stadium a shout out. It does have a really good exterior. I'll give it credit for that. It looks like these big metal things that aren't connected, but they look really cool. NRG's exterior is very blah. It's just average. But NRG Stadium opened in the early 2000s, and yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. It doesn't do me anything, and they're going to be stuck with it for another 15, 20 years. The upper deck seating, it just looks retro. It looks like it was built in 1991. It gives off really old vibes. Like, there's nothing futuristic about the seating. It's a very old design to me. So NRG and State Farm Stadium, very similar models. They have massive overhangs. They are technically retractable roofs, but because of their stadium locations, they're very rarely open. Both of those stadiums will age poorly. Just their designs, especially the interior of them, will look severely dated in 10 to 15 years. And then moving to the MLB, I'm going to go with Nationals Park. So Nationals Park, getting the team from Montreal, opening in the early 2000s, I believe 2004. Let's be honest, this is an extension minor league stadium. It is very bland. I will give it credit. It does have a futuristic upper deck design, but that's about all. There's just nothing special about this park, and they're going to be stuck with it for another 15, 20 years. Right now, the Nationals are going through a bit of a tough rebuild. I do wonder if they would consider like renovations maybe in 5 to 10 years. I don't think it's never gone through any crazy renovation. So I think maybe Nationals fans can look forward to that. But I don't even know what they would renovate. If I was doing a renovation to Nationals Park, my main focus, I would not touch the upper deck. I think it's fine. I would focus on putting in a key feature that it's missing because it's so bland right now. And actually, you do have to change the center field dead zone as well. There's no reason that weird little, what is that, an obtuse angle exists in center field to where the batter's eye is. It's just really odd. That would have to be completely fixed. But overall, I would say Nationals Park in the MLB, it's relatively new and there's just nothing to it, but it can certainly be saved. It's not like Chase Field, you'd have to do 30 things to Chase Field. Nationals Park is a little easier if they invested a few $100 million into it, probably in 5 to 10 years. I think it would be okay, but I would really focus on putting a fun little feature into it. It just seems so bland to me. It's like take a minor league park, add 20,000 seats, and that's what Nationals Park is. For the NBA, you can say Barclays Center. It's Barclays Center is tough to tell whether it's going to age well or not. I actually tend to think it will age okay. It's got that obnoxious looking art, I guess if you want to call it modern art exterior to it that's wavy. I mean, it is what it is. It's got moss growing from the roof. That's futuristic. Yeah, that's good. But Barclays Center, the interior of it, I can't even see it. It's all dark. It's hard to even see. But you could argue maybe Barclays Center might age bad because it did just recently open 13 years ago. And then Little Caesars Arena, it is such a shame. This place, the interior of it is amazing. It has a color-changing roof. But what happened to the exterior roof? It looks like it was built in 1981 straight out of the Metrodome in Minnesota. And then it's got the Little Caesars thing. I would just say to Little Caesars, listen, we're done here. You're not going to put your logo. If I'm the owner of the Detroit Red Wings and the Pistons, I'm like, no, this is a shame. This is a sham. I'm the owner of this team. You're not doing this. This is disgusting looking. You're not putting that crap logo on the top of my $1 billion new arena that looks beautiful on the interior. You know what? We'll pay you whatever you want. Just take your logo off of my stadium, off of my arena. It's not happening. And it's so sad because the original renderings were amazing for the Little Caesars Arena with the Detroit, the Red Wing thing. It looked awesome. It looked illuminate, lit up at night. And the interior is amazing, very nice, really good configuration, futuristic. The roof is amazing with the tiles that light up and stuff. And it also does have an amazing, Jumbotron, really great. But it's like, man, if I was the owner, dude, I would be like, we're done with Little Caesars. You're not putting your disgusting logo. It looks like one of those old inflatable, it looks like the Metrodome. That's what it looks like. I don't know how that would get okayed in the year 2017 when it was, going up. That's just crazy to me, especially when you compare it to the original rendering. So, that roof is going to age horribly. I'm guessing it's going to get a renovation probably, at some point. Not anytime soon, though, because this is a brand new arena. But either way, the exterior of it is going to age really bad. So, guys, once again, just wanted to go over some stadiums that I think will age horribly, the most notably being MetLife Stadium. And if I was the Jets, I would start looking for an off-ramp. I don't understand. I was reading up on MetLife. Apparently, they wanted some type of retractable roof. Think about it. You've got the Jets and the Giants. You can't put the money together and get a retractable roof and actually kind of, I can't believe MetLife, at this point, 2010, they're stuck with it for at least another 20 years unless the Jets decide to get out of the lease and build their own stadium like they tried back in 2000, or at least they had renderings back in 2008 before going to MetLife when it was built. But either way, guys, those are just some stadiums that I think are going to age terribly. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.